This is the Alta Slobadka number 4. We said last time an amazing idea. I want to continue with it just a little bit today. We said that the Alter and his brilliance didn't come across to the students of the Talmidim just as their Rebbe, a heavy-handed Rebbe. Believe me, we'll see later, he could be very, very, very tough to Talmidim as the need be. But generally, he came across in a not strong-handed way and came across not as their Rebbe, but in his brilliance and fine way of speaking. He would speak to them about ideas until they went into the minds of their Talmidim as if it was almost their Talmidim's own idea. And we left with a question and spoke a little bit about how it's hard to know when to speak like that and when to come on stronger. I just wanted to give one example. I think it's a good example where sometimes we approach things one way, and certainly as parents we'd be a lot smarter approaching them another way. A lot of times people see the Shabbos table setting as a good time to give mussar to children and to tell them how things are, etc. Now, if you think about it, often you have guests over, you have other children over, no one wants to be on the spot, or even sometimes there's no concentration at the Shabbos Suda. For sure, people should say the very Torah at their Shabbos Sudas. But a time where one can accomplish often a lot more is in a bedtime story, in a relaxed time. It's a totally different time to get across ideas and to speak to your kids and show them you love them. So that's just a simple example of how to, find the right opportunities, the right ops, and the right ways to work to get across the messages we'd like to get across. So what we're trying to do again is to understand some of the chinuchi methods of the Alter. So I want to talk something about his whole personality, which I think was maybe perhaps the shorish, was the root of his enormous success, his otherworldly success in building Talmidim. The Alter was an unbelievable meitiv, an unbelievable chesed. He did chesed al yamina val smolo, and I'd like to give some examples of that. A Talmud came in one time who wasn't well. A Talmud came in, he didn't have a scarf, right? What did the Alter do? Think about this. He immediately gave him a scarf. Another Talmud came in once and he wasn't well, was sick, and the Alter asked him, why don't you go to the doctor? The Talmud said, I didn't have money to go to the Alter. I didn't have money to go to the doctor. The Alter immediately took off his watch and gave it to him as a mashkon, as a guarantee for him to take a loan to get some money. On the spot. This happens to be one of my favorite stories by Talmud, who I think from Rav Meir Chodesh, who was the mashgiach of Chevron Yeshiva and Teres Yisrael Yeshiva. I don't think we mentioned him in the list of illustrious Talmidim of the Alter. Anyway, so they were together in Germany once vacationing, and the Alter Rav Meir Chodesh saw the Alter walking for a very, very, very long time with an older gentleman. And he heard him talking to him about the koch of Torah and the koch of yeshivas. The yeshivas are the lifeblood and the neshama of the Jewish people, and there's a body to the Jewish people, and there's a soul to the Jewish people, and the soul of the Jewish people is in yeshivas, and we have to support yeshivas. So Rav Meir Chodesh understood, as Talmidim sometimes understand. Obviously, he's trying to get money from him. He must be a wealthy individual, this person, and thereby the Alter spending all this time speaking to him. So Rav Meir Chodesh asked him about it afterwards, and the Alter said something absolutely fascinating. He said, no, he has no money. He's really like almost a Tino Shnishba, and a Jew very far away. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't have any money. He's basically kind of like a refugee. And so what were you doing? I wanted him to be someone who would be, if he had money, he would want to give to yeshivas. What love, what care about a Jew spending hours with a Jew who you're going to get no money from, just that he should change. This Jew, we're speaking about Arabas, this Jew should be thinking the right way about things. On his deathbed, a Talmud gave him, I think, whiskey or vodka by accident instead of water, and he almost choked on his deathbed. And the Talmud came in, of course, the next day extremely embarrassed, and the Alter looked at him with a smiling face, and he said, you made me so happy yesterday because I was so concerned about myself. And then when I realized that I was fine, I had such joy, such simcha. And you were the source of that simcha. Thank you. There's also something so special. Listen to this. He would sometimes sit at his window. L'famim hayoshev ayad chalon beito. He would sit at his window, umatir brachot utfilah chol overshav. To everybody who came by, he would say a bracha for them and say a tefillah to them. People just passing by. In fact, a Talmud relates that once they were walking together with him, and he turned to the house of the Rosh Yeshiva, Moshe Mordechai Epstein, and wished Rav Moshe Mordechai a Boker Tov. And the Talmud asked him, "What are you doing? You're just speaking to a house?" He says, "I'm not speaking to the house, I'm speaking to Rav Moshe Mordechai Epstein inside the house. Why does the person who's getting the bracha have to be in front of him?" This is a person of Kulo Hatava. We'll finish with his Kabbalot, right? The Bali Musar would write to themselves directions and things that they were focusing on and working on. This is the first Kabbalah, the first act of Avodas Hashem that he accepted on himself in his Yoman, in his diary. Lahatir b'chol meshech ha'it. Hishtadlu lizah b'kavod chaver b'tachlis, to be careful in the honor of my friends b'tachlis. Absolutely, b'savlanut, with patience, b'manarach, with a soft language. Af lo pam achas l'shamas b'zragshus, never to be too emotional and worked up in a bad way when I was speaking to people. Lizar b'chol ha'efshari, b'tachlis malbanas panim barabim, to totally be careful whenever embarrassing someone publicly. Ha'im kiyamtes divrei hari al pasuk metik re'eh b'matzat nefesh shechayev. He asked himself, have you fulfilled this pasuk? Shechayev adam levakesh eitzod letovat chaveirav. I must find ways to help my friend. Midei yom biyomo, every single day. Umidei shvua, and every week l'chol ha'pachot. So you see a person who is a mitzias of chesed, a mitzias of atava, and that's of course how he was to his talmidim. Now, as I said, this is not exactly a educational methodology, but it's a shorish, it's a source of everything. When someone is like that, and that gets across to students, of course, and that gets across to talmidim, gets across to children, for sure you're going to be matzliach.